Mohsin Hamid's The Reluctant Fundamentalist. It's one of those books, the kind that's celebrated, debated, and just sticks with you long after you finish it. It's part thriller, part love story, and a really sharp critique of the world, all wrapped up in one very, very tense conversation. So let's pull up a chair ourselves and try to figure out what is really being said.
So picture this. The whole novel, every single page, takes place in a little cafe in Lahore, Pakistan. A man named Changez spots this American guy who looks, well, a little on edge, and he invites him to sit down for a chat. Over just one evening, Changez tells this total stranger his entire life story.
On the surface, it's just a polite conversation. But underneath it all, the air is just thick with tension. Changez's story is so personal and detailed, but it also feels pointed. Is he trying to explain himself? Is he trying to intimidate the American? Or is it something else entirely? We're right there with the American, totally silent, just trying to guess his real motives.
And that really brings us to the big question of the whole novel, doesn't it? Can we actually trust Changez? Is he this disillusioned young man who's just a victim of a paranoid world, or is he a pretty dangerous manipulator who's spinning this story to hide something much, much darker?
Okay, so to get to the bottom of that mystery, first we have to understand the brilliant and kind of frustrating way this story is even told. Honestly, the book's structure, it's the key to everything. So Hamid uses this literary technique called a dramatic monologue, and this is absolutely crucial. We never, not once, hear the American speak a single word. Every piece of information, every reaction, every little detail comes from one source, and one source only, Changez.
And this structure gives Changez an incredible amount of power. I mean, think about it. First, he's the only one talking. Second, he even interprets the American silence for us. He'll say things like, I see you flinched, but did he really? We have no way of knowing. And third, he's what you'd call the focalizer. He is the single lens we see everything through. He has total, complete control of the narrative.
The effect of this is so powerful. This technique basically forces us into the exact same spot as that silent American. We have to constantly ask ourselves, can I trust this guy? Is he telling me the whole story? Or is he just shaping it to fit his own agenda? So why tell the story this way? Well, it's because this whole idea of narrative control is tied directly to the emotional heart of the novel. Changez' story of a completely broken identity. His monologue isn't just a story, it's what happens after a profound personal crisis.
So he walks us through his journey. He gets to America when he's 18, a star student at Princeton, just ready to take on the world. He lands this amazing job on Wall Street, becoming a master of what his firm called focusing on the fundamentals. But after 9/11, everything changes. The country he thought he loved starts looking at him with suspicion, and his American dream just starts to crumble until he's forced to go back to Pakistan.
And this quote from Changez, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. He feels completely adrift. He's not the ambitious New York analyst anymore, but he doesn't really fit back into Lahore either. He's just stuck in this painful in-between place, a feeling that, so many immigrants experience.
And ultimately, his personal story becomes a political one. It really reflects that struggle of being turned into the other in a world that suddenly got divided into us and them. His fractured identity is a direct result of the fractured world he's living in.
Okay, so this brings us to the most famous, most debated part of the whole novel, the ending. And it's right here that we see the biggest difference between the book and the movie they made.
The novel ends on a total knife's edge. The American reaches for something in his jacket. Is it a gun? Or is it just a business card holder? We never find out. The film, though, nope. It gives us clear answers. We find out the American is a CIA agent, and the big climax confirms that Changez was telling the truth all along and wasn't involved in any violence.
So the takeaway here is really simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. The movie adaptation, it resolves all that tension. It tells you what happened. The novel, on the other hand, deliberately leaves you hanging. It preserves that mystery for a very, very specific reason. Which leads us to our final section. Why would an author create such a challenging, unresolved ending? Well, the answer reveals the true purpose of the entire novel.
And we don't have to guess, because the author, Mohsin Hamid, tells us himself. He says, the ending isn't some puzzle you're supposed to solve. It's a mirror. How you interpret that final scene depends entirely on the biases and perspectives that you, the reader, bring to the book. So what does that actually mean? It means a novel isn't really a test of Changez's character, it's a test of ours. Do you see him as a potential threat or as a misunderstood man? Your answer reveals way more about your own worldview than it does about him. The book forces us to confront our own ideas, our own preconceptions about identity, loyalty, and fundamentalism. And so the final question isn't really for him to answer. It's left for you. After hearing his story, after seeing the world through his eyes, who do you trust?